There are moments in life that change everything. One decision, one choice that you wish you could take back. For Timothée Chalamet, that moment came long before the fame, before the awards, before the world started calling him the next big thing. Back when he was still trying to make a name for himself, he said yes to a role that didn't sit right with him. It was a movie he hoped would open doors, but instead, it left him questioning who he really was. He later admitted that he knew deep down it wasn't right, but fear of missing out made him say yes. And that became one of the biggest regrets of his career. Timothy said that project taught him the most painful lesson of all. Never do something just because people expect it from you. Do it because it feels right. And since that day, he promised himself to only take roles that speak to his soul. But regrets don't stop at career choices. His fame came fast and hit hard. He once shared that it felt like his life changed overnight. The quiet moments disappeared, replaced by flashing cameras and constant noise. He said there were times when he missed his family. Birthdays went by, calls unanswered, and friendships faded. Not because he wanted to, but because the world demanded his time. He also talked about how hard it is to live under a microscope, to have every rumor, every relationship, and every mistake turned into a headline. He said that fame can make you lose sight of who you are, and sometimes he wished he could go back to being invisible for a while, to just breathe without the world watching. But what makes Timothée different is how he turned those regrets into fuel. Instead of running from them, he faced them head on. That is why when you watch him act, there is something raw, something honest behind every performance. He said once that acting helps him heal. It helps him understand himself and the choices he made along the way. Friends say that Timothée is obsessed with growing as an artist, that he watches old films for hours, practices accents, studies emotion, and pushes himself to feel deeper, to perform better, because he never wants to be seen as just another actor. He wants to be timeless. And maybe that is where the regret fades away. Because it made him real. It gave him depth. And that is why fans connect with him. Not just because of his charm, but because behind all the fame, there is still a young man who made mistakes, learned from them, and kept moving forward. So when people ask what drives Timothée Chalamet, maybe it's not fame or success. Maybe it's redemption. Turning regret into purpose and finding peace in the art he creates. Because at the end of it all, Timothée Chalamet is not chasing perfection. He's chasing meaning. Every role he takes, every word he speaks, carries a piece of who he used to be and who he is still becoming. His story is not about fame or regret. It's about growth. The kind of growth that comes from falling, breaking, and standing again stronger. And maybe that is why people see something different in him, something human. Because behind the lights, behind the red carpets, there is still a boy who once made a mistake and turned it into art. And maybe that is what makes him unforgettable.